Yeah, good.
Good evening and welcome to the planning board meeting of Tuesday, May 16th. These meetings are recorded. I'll take a motion on the minutes. Moved by John, seconded by Babe. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. We'll go right into the public hearings. Karen?
Continued public hearing, application of F&D Central Realty Corporation for a special permit to construct Bear Hill Village, planned residential development consisting of 147 detached single-family residential units on 118.96 acres lying easterly off Casey Drive and westerly off Beaver Street.
Thank you, Karen. We are in receipt from the applicant. A proposal, it looks like a few various parks throughout Milford. I don't know what the total
Not quite 600.
aggregate number is because it's not added up. We are received from that.
17,758. He has
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry, 517, 758, 33. Thank you. 53. Then we also have a response from the engineering in correlation to the town engineer's analysis. Regrettably, I don't have the town engineer's questions, so, Mike, if you may
Yeah, so that's-
just
that's
take a
a-
moment to
Yeah, so that's
cover
ongoing.
these, since I don't have the list of your initial concerns.
So I received that response there last week, Tuesday, in response to my original, report back in February that was issued as a draft. So I'm still working to get through the response, so I'm still
Okay.
working on it.
The numbers is.
The one thing, the four-way stop sign was an issue last time. That I
Yes?
think they're gonna speak to, the applicant's gonna speak to.
Okay.
Got a line of sight
And the
easement.
total number of units is
There's also, Larry's in possession of a line of sight easement.
Yep. That's the original.
For the affected area. So with that, Bob, I'll let you take it away.
So, as you said, this is a proposal for a planned residential development
Working it out.
located between Beaver Street, opposite Maple Street, and Casey Drive extension, which is here. It requires the extension of Casey Drive as a public road to the intersection of Maple and Beaver. And then, in doing so, we would be creating a two-lot, generally a two-lot subdivision. One lot up in here, one lot in the lower area here. We've also submitted a definitive plan to get that approved so that we could build this road as a public way. So the proposal is to create, by right, the applicant can build 97 condominium units with a 50% bonus entry. Comes out to be 147 units. They're clustered in different areas because of, you can see here, there's significant wetlands on the property. It's all gonna be part of the open space. There's actually a little bit of a river stream, a perennial stream located right in here, which has riverfront to it. So we cluster areas here, 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 something along Beaver Street here. Proposed site will be serviced by catch basins, a drain manhole drainage system. We've provided recharge basins, 2 locations here, stormwater basins in 2 locations here, so that we can attenuate the total suspended solids. We've got 4 bays and a mechanical unit in this location. We've attenuated the 1-inch rainfall to address the issues with phosphorus as opposed to just a 1/2 inch. So we're trying to be a little bit of, proactive regarding in that area there. One of the issues at the last meeting was the traffic engineer had talked about the site distance from the intersection of Casey Drive Extension and Maple Street in the northerly direction. What we did was we approached the landowner in this particular lot right here, and he has agreed to provide us with a line of sight easement in exchange for a piece of land right in here that abuts him that's dry. Obviously, the proposal is contingent upon approval of the development. So this line of sight easement is sufficient that if a car is parked here at 14.5 feet back, it can see 250 feet in this direction and provide the adequate stopping sight distance needed at the intersection. We have, one of the major adjustments we made to the plan after the last time was that the pavement width was reduced from 28 feet, from 30 feet to 28 feet. We've eliminated a sidewalk on one side, so there's now a sidewalk just on this side, the northerly side of the road, where the majority of the units are on Casey Drive extension. We have subsequently done test holes in the location of the basins and done groundwater mounting analysis for those to make sure, you know, that we still comply with the requirements of the stormwater management guidelines. And basically, the driveways, the roadways within these development areas are 24 feet wide of pavement. Each unit has a two-car garage. These are the units, if you've been up into the Beaver Pond Commons, the single-family condos that have been constructed there, these are gonna be the same type of units that, you know, that are gonna be constructed. And, as I say, we've submitted the information regarding the work that the applicant is proposing to do for the town parks to allow the 50% density bonus. And that's pretty much the project.
So Bob, the new parcel being created.
Yep.
Will also need to have the line of sight easement extend over it.
Over it,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
When the
Yeah,
plan
that'll be
goes
yes.
through. But the agreement you saw is to create that plan and get all that done, so.
Great.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, let the audience ask. You can let the audience ask first, if they have any comments.
Seeing that this is a public meeting, is there anyone from the audience that would, hold on, let me just finish. Would like to have a question? If so, I will call on you. For the record, please state your name and address. Yes, sir.
Kevin Duffy, 126 Beaver Street.
You may
What was
just
the
want
first
to,
name again? I'm sorry.
Kevin.
Kevin,
Kevin,
they want to come and use one of the
Maybe
mics.
he's- Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y.
correct.
You just may want to come up and utilize the microphone for those.
Just handing you the mic.
Oh, there you go.
Could you just repeat your address, please?
126 Beaver.
Thank you.
All right, my first question is, they need a density bonus in order to put that many units in, and they're talking about doing some work on a park. To me, that sounds kind of like a payoff, doing work for the park to get the density bonus. I mean, we're already strapped down there for traffic and everything else. And now we're gonna allow that because they're gonna do some work on a park? Doesn't seem quite right to me on that part. The line of sight, I guess you've fixed that a little bit, but the traffic down here is gonna be insane, especially if you open up that bridge that goes through Hopedale and Bellingham and all that kind of stuff. As it is right now, all day long, there's cars going in, we got the lift bus going down there, we got school buses, we got 18-wheelers. It's crazy. You can't even walk across that street without getting hit. There's no sidewalks, there's no nothing. If you're gonna do all that, I don't know, you should fix that road there, because that corner is crazy. I've had 2 head-on collisions in front of my house in the last 20 years. So maybe, straighten out the road or something. And again, just why do you have to put that many in here? Why can't you maybe do all this and maybe just a few or something? Why does it have to be that many? It just seems to me that it's a lot going into a small place. You've got all this wetlands and stuff, you're destroying the whole place, and there's almost no open area in Milford anymore. It's almost all gone, and it's all been built on. So, there's gotta be some reason to this, that the big people like Mr. Alfonso have already made millions of dollars. Do we have to put so many in? I grant that's his land, and he can do stuff with it. It's already known. But maybe a little bit less instead of all that stuff, and then roads coming in here and roads coming out there. I mean, this looks big. It's 1/16 of a mile. I can see both from my house. It's gonna be crazy. And I'm sure my neighbor feels the same way. And I don't know about that neighbor, the one right down here, but I know he hasn't been too happy with all this stuff over through the years. Haven't talked to him lately, but I'm sure he can't be too happy with it either. And it just seems too much in a small area. That's my biggest point. If we could make it a little bit less, that can be done, talked about. That's my biggest point. That and certainly the traffic, and it's going to. And of course, right now we've had a lot of rain, so that's great for everything. But you know, I'm on a well, so I mean, when it comes down to when we have these times like last year, we had a lot of rain. They're taking all the all these newer places, not just them, but the one across town, the 300 units, taking all this water and stuff. And I wouldn't even want to water my lawn because I was afraid it's going to run out of water because it was so low. And it's just so many things going in at the same time that it's going to tax everything, not just one thing: sewer, water, fire, schools, traffic, everything. So it just seems to me to make sense to make it a little bit less of what it is. Not nothing. I understand that he can build, but maybe these in here and a little bit instead of all that. Maybe take out some. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? My name's Steve Chinese,
Oh, just,
Get the mic.
and I'm from 73 Beaver Street. I'm up in, right up here. So our house is up here. My main concern, and I agree with my neighbors, the wells and our septic systems and leaching fields. If I'm not correct on the buffer, is it a 65-foot buffer from my house, my line, to where these houses are gonna be? It's 100? Okay. I was under the impression it was 65.
And these units are not on wells or septic systems.
Well, I understand that. But what we have back here, in between the 100-foot buffer, and I've walked it for many years, is you've got, it goes down into a slant, and it's a hill of rock and ledge, which is only 70 feet, or 100 feet from my wells and my septic system, and then another 100 feet up from my well. If he has to blast all this ledge, I don't know how he's going to do the work, the construction. Is he gonna build up, or is he gonna dig down on that? Or you couldn't give me an answer until you get back there, right?
I can't. That depends how they design it. You have to
Right.
go out to the design shop.
Well, I've walked that land back there, and 65, 70 feet from my line to where you wanna put your cluster of houses, which is 56 behind me, am I correct? Beaver, this is 56 houses here
In that location there?
in this location? I mean, that's a lot of houses, and that's a 100-foot buffer in between us. I've got people at my house that work nights and sleep days, and
40 houses.
yeah, there's 40 houses here. And what's that gonna, the noise factor with banging and blasting, I don't know, like you said, you don't know what it's gonna entail. It's gonna be intense for us as a family trying to deal with this construction, which I'm not against, believe me. But the buffer I am against, I was wondering if there's any way of pushing the buffer up. So I remember your first proposal, Mr. Alfonso, you said a football field, which is 300 feet, I'm pretty sure.
Didn't say it.
Well, you didn't say it, but we did ask questions about it at that meeting. And there were gonna be single-family houses.
They are single-family houses.
Right, but this, we see what the project is up there. You have no abutters up there. You can go all the way to all the way to Beaver Pond without any abutters. But we have to live on that street, and with a 100-foot buffer with all the trees down, it's gonna create even fumes coming into our air conditioning units. I mean, I've been to construction sites, all of my life. I'm into construction myself. And, it's a tough situation to only give us a 100-foot buffer and build that many houses back there on that small lot. And I agree that, you know, I would feel much more comfortable and not worry about my septic and my well also. That's our lifeline. I don't want to lose that because I have no way and no money of recouping that. And what am I gonna do? Move out of my house if something like that does happen? I know it's not a definite that it would happen, but there's always a chance that that will happen. And I would appreciate it if you give us a little bit more buffer back there. And I'd feel more comfortable because of the ledge. And we also have a little mini pond back there 3 months out of the year. We have photos and videos of it. And if you're gonna build the land up, is this gonna leach into our leaching fields? And what's that gonna cause, you know, our septic systems? And what's the guarantee who's gonna fix this stuff if it does happen? That's my question. You know, and that's my first phase. My second one is the street, okay? But, you know, a 100-foot buffer is not much for blasting and for the noise that we're gonna have to put up with and the smell of fumes and everything else. I mean, we can't just, I mean, we had a constructed house just built on Central, and they had a bang ledge for 2 days, and we couldn't even talk on our phones, you know, outside. It was so loud. It's just, that's the way it is up there, you know? And there is a lot of ledge up there. There's got to be 30-foot ledge up there. I don't know if you've walked that land, but I have for many years. And that land's going to be tough to build on. It really is. And it's going to be a burden and a hardship on us people on that street.
I have to say one thing, there's no good land left in Milford.
I understand that.
I have
No,
to
we
say
do,
that.
right.
No land's good left, all
Right.
the good land is gone, that's what we got, doesn't matter where we are.
exactly.
What are you gonna be, what do we got left, and most of the land left, that's ledge, we
Right.
try to work with people, but again, that's what we have.
Right.
There's nothing to say, doesn't have to be blasted, you can promise that. You
I
can say
understand
certain
that,
things,
yeah.
again, if your well goes dry, at least you got water close to it. Doesn't matter, could be going dry from blasting off of someplace else, but at least you have a town water. The septic system is nothing to do with the build-up, because everybody now in business, septic system, if it goes bad, is not because the build-up. The well, they could, but also they could dry out without blast, and they could go dry out same way. At least is water there, you could use the water, plenty pressure, because you bring in the 12 inch of water main. Again, that's all we got left. We tried, it's
But-
not in the Milford or almost anywhere.
I understand that, but that's all good, but if it does happen, that's gonna affect my life and my family's life, okay? Just like the noise is gonna affect us because they're professional people, there's nurses that live there, there's several people that sleep during the day and work at night. That's not our choice, that's our life, that's our living. And we've heard your projects, and I'm not against you or your projects, but you're our neighbor. Could you do a better buffer? Could you do a better buffer for us people to have to put up with this hardship? It's gonna be a hardship. There's people that are gonna have to change their lives for you and the town to do this project. What are you gonna do for us? All right? We're on one of the worst streets, okay, in the town of Milford, and I'm not proud of that. And I feel for him because of the danger of just going out to get your mail out of your mailbox. Your road is safe, you build safe projects. Your road, up where you live, your wife can walk out and get her mail on a sidewalk. We have to stand on a 15-foot road, okay? In the wintertime, it's 13 feet, and you want to build a four-way intersection on the top of that road, which is a blind hill. There's 20 kids on that street. There's 20 grandchildren on that street. God forbid if anything happens on that street. Are we going to do something with the streets? And I know it's not your responsibility, It's the
Exactly.
town's
So, yeah, so need
responsibility.
to be this and this.
What are we gonna do so we're not in danger of losing our lives on that street?
Okay.
You know, that's the question. It's not the parks, it's not the houses, it's not worrying about how many houses you have to build and how much profit everybody has to make. It's lives. It's our lives, our kids' lives, our future, our grandchildren. That's all I have to say. I hope we can come up with some answers at the next meeting, if there is one. Because I'm really upset about the roads up in Bear Hill. You have flooded roads up there now, up by the fire department, it's all flooded out. You gotta close it down when it rains. Up by Waters Associates, that whole left side's all flooded out. You got a motel proposal coming up. They wanna do a two-way street on that road. We're stressed up there. We need somebody to step in that has authority to help us residents out. We have a right to. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just as somewhat of an answer, this lighter green that you see here is undisturbed vegetation, and it's 50 feet wide at its narrowest point. Topography slopes towards the wetlands, so we would not be bringing in fill in this area. We're actually gonna be trying to use the existing grades as much as possible, making some cuts. And obviously, as with any site where blasting occurs, there's a blasting survey that occurs with, for the neighboring property, and, you look at their foundations, you check their wells and see what kind of, pressure they have and capacity they have, and if during the process of blasting there is a change, then it's noted, and, there's a recourse to it.
What happens if there is a change?
So that the developer is
It's like
responsible
down
for.
my part of Beaver Street, there is no town water, no sewer, no
No.
nothing. So then if my well goes dry or something happens, what do I do?
I just said that the applicant.
There is recourse, that's what he's saying to you.
That's why he has to do a report and a study, and if something changes during the development process,
Okay.
then there is
Then
recourse.
you would have to bring.
No.
Or he could drill you a new well. Put you a new well.
The long and the short of it is, eventually they're gonna come to you and wanna do a pre-blast survey on your property, if it's close enough in terms of what he's doing. What Bob is encouraging you to do is participate
Oh, I will.
in that pre-blast study. Because if you don't and something goes wrong, regrettably, it's on you. What Bob is saying to you is, they note the gallons per minute, they note the conditions relative to your foundation and so on and so forth. If they note changes after, then yes, they're the one, the blasting company essentially has insurance, and that's what it's designed for, to somehow remedy a loss that you may have incurred. That's the easiest way to put it. It's why they have
They
insurance.
have that in writing at some point when they do the survey.
They do.
It is.
They do. That's why I'm encouraging you to certainly
I will-
participate.
I will
Because you have the option, and some people choose not to participate, and
No, no,
regrettably,
I will definitely participate, and also, videotape my own foundation, to make sure- and inside to make sure there's any cracks and stuff, but I will definitely participate. Because if I lose water, I'm,
again,
in real trouble.
justifiably so.
I also have, a septic as well, so that's on the backside, probably going to be affected by that, but the well is more on that side, it could be. Certainly a concern to me.
And again, I do have to at least acknowledge that Bob did explain to you
Yeah, no,
that there
okay.
is,
Well, I
that
didn't exactly say that there was gonna be a survey, but now that you did explain that, I understand more about it.
there's gonna be a survey.
That-
Again, I believe you get certified mail, or you just get contacted by phone, I don't
Probably
recall.
get certified mail.
So obviously, again, I can only encourage you to
Yeah, no,
certainly
I would definitely
participate.
participate
If
in
you
that,
don't,
because I would not-
then
I would not do
regrettably,
that,
yep.
because that-
Again, some people do, some people don't. I can't tell you what to do and what not to do, but
No, I would definitely protect myself as much as possible. so.
I don't know if they actually do certified, but what, I believe the actual if they attempt to contact you, and then you sign that you don't want to allow them, then it's on you. If they made no contact, or whatever, then there's a discussion as to whether it's on them or not anyway. So they will, in most cases, any of these companies that do it, they make an attempt to contact any of the neighbors to make sure that they have a sign off that says, you allowed me to come in, or no, you wouldn't, so that they can go back to their insurance company.
I would assume, like you said, they do it by certified mail, because then they could just say, we tried to contact them, we didn't hear anything from them. And then it'll be your word against theirs.
Well, whatever.
I don't get
I'm
involved,
not-
I don't
I'm
get
not sure
involved,
if they all
that's why I
do
don't know.
certified mail, but anyways, they,
Because I've heard about this in other towns, not necessarily in Milford, and, there was a big subdivision on a farm, that used to, grow crops and stuff, they built like 100 houses, and they were blasting, 20 people on the road lost their water, and they had to finally go to the town, and it took a long time to fix, and that's something I don't wanna do.
Again, as Mr. Alfonso pointed out, and you as well pointed out, he is your neighbor. So clearly, I think if you notice that trees are coming down and you haven't heard, I think he's reasonably accessible. I believe your office is still in Milford, so I'm just saying, if you notice the trees come down and you have not been contacted, clearly it may behoove you to contact his office and inquire. I'm not encouraging to go banging on his door, I'm just saying, I don't think he's running anywhere.
When you say neighbor, he's not on Beaver Street. He's
No,
got
no,
Beaver
no.
Street. He's way off of Beaver Street, which doesn't have the 18 wheels going down. So let's be clear about that.
Listen, industrial park, you have to anticipate there's gonna be a
Yeah,
certain
those
degree,
trucks actually
there's
going
gonna be,
down, they're going to the industrial park, actually, they're going to a cut through. They're actually not.
I don't know where the heck they're cutting through.
They're not going there.
I don't know where they're
Yeah.
cutting through, but
They're cutting through, they're going down.
Cutting through to 140 to Harvard Avenue.
Yeah.
They're not going to the industrial park. So all the ones going to industrial park actually go down Maple Street. Those aren't a problem. I don't have a problem with the industrial park. That doesn't bother me at all.
I think some of these trucks that go down that road are somewhat foolish, because I think it's a little windy.
Every day.
Hey, I can't control what people drive. Anyhow,
No, of course you
Man,
Moving right along.
just makes it worse.
I didn't know if you had any,
No, I'm good.
anyone else have a comment or question regarding this proposal? Come on up, please.
Hi, I'm Donna Peterson, and I live at 75 Beaver. And my concerns, some have been expressed already, the traffic on Beaver Street. I mean, we've had traffic studies, we've had other town meetings in the past. It's only like 12 to 15 feet wide, and in front of our house at 75, there's about 15 feet of town footage in front of a stone wall that belongs to the town. And we have asked repeatedly that that street be widened so it would be safer, because we have 18-wheelers, because we've been told by law that you have to allow them on that street because it's a major connecting road between Milford and Hopedale and Bellingham. However, we've also had a neighbor who actually, several of their dogs died in the foot of their driveway because they were sleeping, and an 18-wheeler and a car were trying to pass each other at the same time, and they had to dip into the edge of the driveway in order to get down the road and past the 18-wheeler. And I've had some near accidents too. But the other concern I have is that this area behind my house and Steve Chinese's house, it's not all foliage. There's actually a vernal pool back there, and by law, there's supposed to be a certain amount of footage out from that you can't, go within when you're developing it. And I've got video footage of the vernal pool and where it is, if you want to take a look at it afterwards in my tablet here. So between the traffic, the road, and also the buffer, I really think it should be a more significant buffer behind our houses, especially going out behind that vernal pool as well. So those are my concerns. So anyway, I'd really appreciate if you'd consider that.
Thank you.
So, we had a wetland study done on this property. An ANRAD was done. It was surveyed, every area was looked over. Extensive flagging that took place, you can see that. The only area that was flagged by the wetland scientists as possible vernal pool was in this area over here. And we went into, to certify it, that there is a vernal pool listed on all the plans in this location here. We have not, there's no record of any listed vernal pool or anything that was observed during the process of the wetlands delineation and the classification.
Concom go out, Bob? Have Concom gone out?
Well,
conservation?
we have an ANRAD that's active, so we haven't met with them yet. We're meeting them this Thursday. We were on the agenda of the last meeting, but we didn't have a DEP file number yet, so they wouldn't hold a hearing.
I got the vernal pool video footage right here, and I can show where it is in relation to the back of my house. In the back of Steve's.
There's a lot of things that make something a vernal pool, not just a little,
Well, it
wetland
appeared,
area.
yeah, it didn't appear last year and the year before because of the drought. But whenever there's not a drought, it's there,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know that means it's a vernal pool. I think it has to be there all the time. Because the idea is that the species come in
It's 8 weeks,
habitat.
Yeah, 8 weeks so the tadpoles and the frogs can develop, and then it dries up by the time they become toads and frogs. That's how that works.
But it also has to be of a species that, is a listed species that, it can't just be regular old toads and frogs. That happens a lot of places.
That's really controlled by Conservation Commission. We don't, whatever they say in terms of wetlands, vernal pools or whatever, what we end up having to go by, so we don't really.
Well, we're mutually exclusive from the conservation in terms of their regulatory
Yeah, but showing us
requirements.
a vernal pool doesn't change anything. We're not the ones that are gonna say yea or nay anyways, is what I'm saying. It wouldn't change anything that we could do.
Any more, Pat?
In terms of this board, no. It would be more up to the conservation. And again, whether they identify it as a vernal pool, as you refer to it, or not, we couldn't speak to that. Anyone else have a question? Bob, can you just recap? These are all two-bedroom units.
These are all two-bedroom units, that's correct. Yeah. So the
I
idea.
only say this because you've made mention to something similar up and across. And I think
okay.
some of those are three.
Some of those are three,
And I didn't,
well-
let me just finish, Bob. I didn't want to confuse that these are only two-bedroom.
What we were able to, the reason why some of those units in the.
Doesn't matter, just.
Doesn't matter, but these are just all two-bedroom units, that is correct. There are no three-bedroom units proposed. It's not allowed in a PRD.
I didn't want any confusion when you specified that up
Just
and
similar
across the street.
style,
Yeah,
not-
okay. And then obviously the sidewalks within, bringing you out to the main road, correct?
Correct. One's tying into this one and then bringing out to the main road, yes.
No sidewalk on Maple Street, but,
No, but
yeah, the sidewalk comes all the way up to Maple Street.
and in terms of the stop sign, did you say you would address that or not?
There's the only stop sign, currently there's a stop sign on Maple. We will have a stop sign at the end of ours, but there will be no stop signs placed on Beaver Street.
Okay.
Because we will allow for once we have the adequate site distance, there's really no need for the stop sign on Beaver Street.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, is there any way you can stop 10-wheelers from using Beaver?
Beaver?
That's probably a selectman issue and,
'Cause I've
Here
been
again-
up there, and I agree, there's, a 10-wheeler, you got no place to hide.
Chapter 90 road.
And here again, I believe that, Mr. Afonso's plan during the construction is to enter from his existing site.
Exactly.
And do all the work from this way towards Maple Street. So you're not gonna see a lot of his construction vehicles entering, the project from Beaver Street. Everything will be coming from within the development.
And go up to Maple.
And go out,
Everything will go last, go to Maple.
Just a comment, Pat, if I may, on the 10-wheelers. The 10-wheelers are on a number of roads, and I know Beach Street, for instance, they were going down there, and just to let you know that if you do go before the selectmen, they will help you out and try to revert them, but you need to appear with your group and give them the reasons why, you're having a difficult time on that street, and they will, work with you. So I suggest that you meet with the selectmen, and it has happened before, where on certain streets, they've allowed them to go on other streets and bother other people, but, truthfully, I would suggest you all get together and meet with the selectmen and ask them that question.
See on 140. That bridge is never gonna move,
No, that bridge will never open.
never will.
It's never gonna open.
That's way too far.
And Bob, if I may, I certainly appreciate the work and the effort in terms of the bonus density. I struggle with a few things. First and foremost, in my mind, when this was part of a PRD, when we allowed such a use in terms of bonus density, I think in my mind, I was more hopeful of creation of new parks, not necessarily repairing parks that, for whatever reason or another, various boards choose not to seek funding the more conventional manners like the rest of the various boards in this town do. So, again, not that I don't applaud the effort and what you're attempting to do, I just would have hoped that we were talking about additional recreational space rather than the replication or repair of, perhaps, for lack of better words, run-down fencing and dugouts and so on and so forth, which sometimes limits it to specific sporting venues rather than true passive recreation for all to enjoy. That's just my 2 cents, if you will. Just my feeling. Again, not that I don't appreciate your work and what you put into it, but I struggle sometimes when I look at the Parks Department. I say to myself, how can the fire department have the town meeting members stroke $1 million check for a fire engine, but you can't go to them for $500,000 to fix fields? I just struggle with that, and I guess that's my own struggle. And like I said, I just would have preferred, when we look and we realize that we do own some land in the town of Milford, and I think we would all benefit as a whole, for not only for us, but for future generations, if we had the opportunity to truly develop it into a more passive and usable space for, future generations. So, not that I want to get on the soapbox, I just figured I'd point that out to you.
Was that brought up at all, that they would look for a piece of property where they could?
I think there's been back and forth discussions. Again, I can't specify on that because I don't have enough workable knowledge.
Okay.
I can only say that my feeling, when we allowed this, my feeling was for true, creation of passive recreation. Again, when we look at the other one, I guess there's an argument that it completed the bike path, so to speak, which, again, whether you use it or not, really certainly does qualify for true recreation, and that was very helpful in the whole completion of the bike path. Although I think Milford's the only one who ever has a bike path, I don't think any other community does, but neither here nor there.
Okay.
I just would have, like I said, when I look at what you're attempting to do, and I looked at it's pretty much, a lot of it has to do with baseball fields, and I don't consider that true recreation for all, that's all I'm saying.
All right.
But that's just me.
It's just a substantial amount of money.
Oh, no, and again, I would have preferred to see that money put into creating a park that didn't create today, that's not existing today, but again,
Because of that, we could give the money to the town for the.
please, they be buy,
Don't even talk about it.
Don't go there.
I appreciate what you're saying, but you know what?
I could put it into the new fields, whatever.
They've got other issues, the other issue that, as we do this, that becomes more and more problematic because I believe right now the park department feels they don't have enough people to be able to handle the fields that they have and the stuff that they have now, so that if we created new ones, we would actually be adding to the town's bill at the end of the day because they would need more facilities in order to be able to do it, so to the extent that we're making these usable again is not, to me, isn't that bad of an idea, because I think they've had other issues if they went ahead and tried to create new parks at this point, based on their budget.
Pat, if I could, I think it would be important, though, from the developer's standpoint, obviously, for the board to come to some level of decision tonight so that he knows whether or not he's in the right ballpark, no pun intended, or not, with the proposal of $500,000-$600,000 worth of work to restore the fields, or not, and use that to justify the density bonus, because if it's not, then he needs to make other decisions. But given where we are in the overall review process, I think it'd be very helpful to Dominic to know whether he stands a chance to get a density bonus or not.
It would,
I agree with that.
it would be nice if we had, I mean, this is the first I've seen of it. So it's tough to make that decision per se. I'd like to, I'd like to go back and see what the decision was and what the dollar value was for Walden Woods. Have an idea what that was.
Well, that's gonna be a little more complicated, because at first they put it into a fund, which I think is what they use to update the Pheno field lights. And then ultimately, he then changed it over, and I think that's when he did the phase 3. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to come up with a true monetary figure. You may be able to, but I'm not sure.
I think we had one at one point in time.
You know, if that,
Well, there may be one generally in terms of comparing what the developer spent to do Phase 3 of the trail compared to the density bonus, because as you say, the whole project evolved. There were 2 or 3 different alternative approaches to get the density bonus. So at one point, it was the over 55 units, and then that changed when the trail was identified as a.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure there was a price for the trail that we had at one point in time.
Yeah.
Which
so-
would be interesting to see compared to this. I mean, I don't think the number is, looking at the number is, well, we'd never do that type thing. I mean, I think it's relatively close. I don't know if it's the final number per se that I'd be happy with, but I don't think it's, for me, I don't think it was that much different than my recollection of what the trail was. But I could be wrong.
It's about the same cost of what the 2 fields that they were gonna do when they originally started with Walden Woods.
I agree with that.
So, it's,
And again, I don't
I
know
don't-
the number of bonus densities they got
I mean,
in
the-
correlation to this one, percentage-wise.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that we talked about to a certain extent, although it's not part of the density bonus per se, but we had talked to Mike about this before in terms of looking at making some modifications or repairs to Beaver Street. And, if we were doing that and looking at the number, I mean, to me, you need to take a look at all those things in terms of making a final decision. So, again, I get the feeling the number is relatively close. I mean, if we were doing other stuff on Beaver Street to try to make that street a little bit bigger, or a little bit wider, or doing some work to improve that slightly, I don't know if this number's that far off.
So you're talking about Beaver Street north of the intersection? The narrowest?
Yes.
The narrowest,
Yes.
between
Yes.
Maple and Central.
Well, even the curve down at the other section, I believe.
I think the curve would be,
I remember looking at that curve
I think your curve, I
twenty-something
think,
years
is a little
ago.
more dangerous than,
can take a look at it.
even though the straightaway is not favorable.
One of the curves is too narrow and the other is too
Too
wide.
wide, so
pavement.
it's-
Yeah, so you'd be,
In one instance, the right-of-way is not even in the
The
pavement
roadway,
is not
yeah.
even in the right-of-way on one of those curves. It's actually
You wanna
not.
fix that?
There's actually plans for that whole section up at Helmet.
But it's
But
on, but
to-
it's on the National Guide.
It's overdone, but the alignment.
take the curve out, it's an
alignment
81,
and
it's an
the,
81P.
And the elevations are probably pretty decent.
but to that point, depending upon which section of the road you're talking about widening, there may not be sufficient right-of-way to do it anyway, so now you're looking at taking or acquiring private property, which may or may not be something.
Yeah, on the other side, I don't know how much, I mean, you may not be able to do much, but on the side from Maple Street to the Bellingham line, that small
I think
section
you
in the
have-
front, I think there's, obviously, that Dominic owns that portion, and there's sections in there that I know are bad that we could probably make some improvements on.
And the other one, as we did 81Ps for all those, for any lot that was changed or something, we always left a 10-foot construction easement on, so there's some of them that do have the construction easement on them. We did that on Beaver Street, we did that on Central Street.
And
Over the
as
years.
one of the abutters mentioned, there are areas within this section here where there is significant area between the edge of pavement and the stone wall. It was, you know, so there is additional room in the layout. I mean, the layout's at least 33, 34 feet, maybe more, and the pavement's only 15, so.
So there's room.
The only, and again, it's something that you need to really look at, because sometimes you start widening the roads.
Yeah, it makes the traffic go faster.
Not only does it make the traffic go faster, but then it also encourages the trucks that you don't want to be able to travel through this. So I mean, I like the idea specific to some of these curves, yeah, towards the Bellingham. Certainly looking at that in terms of improvements.
Yeah, the other side of me may look that, I mean, I think the town is try to convince people to take Maple Street and not go that way if they can. If we improve that section, that may go away, so. But I definitely think the section from Maple Street to, through the front of the development, through some of the curves could be improved slightly. And I don't, again, as I said to Mike, that design was done many, many years ago, and I wouldn't go to that level, but I think there can be some improvements made to improve some of the site distances
Make
and
some
just the widths.
sensible improvements.
Yep, so we can take a look at that, absolutely.
You bring
So
that
is there a
back.
way to at least get a consensus of which way you should go?
We're gonna
Dave has
continue.
a question, but I'm not, sorry.
And one of the comments was brought up about the schools, and that's one thing about the planned residential, developments, there's hardly any school. If you get four school kids out of the 147 units, that'll be a lot. All the planned residential developments in the town, I think have like a total of 9.
Yeah, it's on an
Nine
enormous
students.
number.
It's a small
And to be
amount.
frank with you, I don't think it's gonna be overly distinguishable, considering that I would assume that the school bus, one way or another, is gonna be coming from Casey, picking up from the residential neighborhood, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the advent of school children on the school buses are going to be significant. And as I recall, being on that board several years ago, those buses were never full anyhow. So I don't think that that's gonna be a tremendous influx, one way or the other. Yes, I'm sorry, Larry.
Just, for Dominic's benefit, is there some consensus that might be
Talking about
arrived
the
at in
dollar
terms
figure, or
of?
you're talking about what he wants to do?
No, in terms of the project and whether or not the project generally is acceptable, I don't know, what'd you say, philosophically, as opposed to whatever the dollar amount might be, and whether or not that by itself, irrespective of the dollar amount,
Would
is gonna
qualify.
be sufficient, or are the road improvements something that's supposed to be added on to that, or just so he has an idea of which direction to take?
Again, if I'm listening to what the board's suggesting, I think that in theory, the 517 in that ballpark is reminiscent of what Walden Woods proposed. Again, not getting overly specific, but I think it's reminiscent to what they proposed. I think what the board's also looking for in terms of trying to improve some of the roads that directly are in control of, or in his possession right now, that he would perhaps be able to, without any type of legal maneuvering in terms of land taking. I think they're looking for a combination of that and some sort of field improvements, if I'm understanding what I heard.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough statement to make in that, I don't know what the magnitude of the road improvements would be, like I said, I don't wanna turn that into a highway, but I think there are sections that need
No,
to
but
be
I think there's some
improved.
curves that can be,
No, but that being said, I don't know what the magnitude of work is. If someone came back to me and said that's $1.5 million just to get to that point, then I don't know that that I'm worried about this number as much per se. But I mean, if it's something that we can do at a base number, then yeah. So I don't know. Without knowing that other number, Larry, that's tough to tell.
Oh, but Walden Woods was 165 units, this is 140, what? 147 with the bonus, so.
but they
it's-
also
it's a-
paid a fee in the beginning. It's a
Well, for a while, yeah,
It's a
that was
challenging
way.
number to try to
Right.
sit here and say conclusively that we're talking the same. I think it's,
Yeah, the only thing we'd be able to compare directly is the trail costs compared to the estimate for the fields. And then again, you got the difference in density of the two developments.
I don't have a problem with the number. Again, I'd like to see, as a developer, Mr. Alfonso does a good job in his developments. If he could do something to improve the road for the neighbors and for the town. Again, like Joe said, I don't want a car charge of cost of 150, 1.5 million, but to see what he could do, if Mike can find out where the layout is and everything, then he has some idea what he could do.
Well, I think what we need is we need some sort of direction regarding the density bonus, and if it's gonna happen, then changes his outlook as to how much he can afford to do, because he's gonna actually generate a little bit more profit. But if we're going back to 97 units, then a lot changes. You know, we're reducing the amount of traffic.
And I think it's not an issue of the bonus
single-family
density. I
house.
think that's not the issue. I think the issue is the number greater than 517? Is it 517 plus some road improvements? But we don't know what the road improvements entail, so we're not trying to be difficult in telling you have to do both, because that perhaps monetarily wouldn't work, to Joe's point. So it's not, I don't think you're hearing opposition in terms of the bonus density. I think what you're hearing is, let's see what's the best for the neighborhood, and what's gonna be most sensible for the roadway. And then, let's also then look at the improvements that you wanna do for the community. But I think to Babe's point, you are doing this for the community. And although maybe the average person wouldn't be able to touch, feel it, or see it, for those who live up there, it's extremely important. So I think that's what we're looking for. We're not discussing, I don't think anyone's suggesting that the bonus density is unreasonable. What we're suggesting is, in terms of your bonus density, let's look at what's most favorable to the community, including those who live there today. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, yes.
So now, my question is whether or not the town engineer, what does he need for a time frame to be able to kind of put together something that's got the layout and come up with something? I mean, the next meeting is on the 6th. Are we looking, is that too soon, or?
You
Well,
tell us,
I
Mike.
think we could work together if there's a lot of information sitting up at G&H, as Joe had just referenced, that he designed. We can work together and we'll see what the time frame is.
Well, like
I
I say,
think
we
I
have
think he
we
wants
have
to try to figure out
continue.
when
We
to
have to
continue this
continue, so
meeting to.
I'm just trying to, I don't want to
Yeah, I
continue
mean-
to the 6th and then, show up on the 6th and not have anything.
There might not be enough time to get everything squared away. all
Second
at once.
meeting of
I would go to
June?
the second
Second
meeting.
meeting.
Second
Because
meeting
you're gonna
of
have to
June?
take a look at that stuff. Like I
Is
said,
that
you can't
reasonable?
use what I have. You're gonna have to make decisions as to what
Right.
to do and not do.
Right, but
and-
that'll be the base, and we have the right of way and everything figured
Yeah.
out, so I think we need to work together and try to figure out,
I would go to the
where we're gonna do
Second
these
meeting.
improvements.
Second meeting in June work?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
We're having
Gives
I
us
mean,
more-
it's kind
gives
of
us
up to
more time,
Dominic
I mean,
if he wants to
Well,
pursue
I'm,
it.
I'm asking, I'm waiting for someone to,
Well, if he wants to
Me, I
pursue
like
it.
to see it done as quick as possible, but whatever Mikey could do it, and between Mike and Bob, whatever we could do the quickest possible. We like to know which direction they're gonna go. Because two things I need to know. I'm gonna be working with those units, I'm gonna change the single-family house, I'm gonna go with 97, plus some singles. That means I could have a bunch of driveways coming from Beaver Street. Right? I could have cut that in lots, and just
81
go
piece.
single families, make a bunch of lots, have a bunch of driveways. But I own the land, I could have a bunch of lots on the front, they're all frontage. If you look at it from there all the way up, it's frontage.
Anybody that comes out of that driveway on that corner will be
You live in there, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, then,
It's terrible.
then if you could live there, other people will live there too.
Yeah,
But,
all the other
excuse me,
across
but
the
it's all the way it is. I could have make lots in the other and divided the other thing. That's what I need to know, each direction I wanna go.
again,
Is the
understand,
second meeting okay?
I understand one thing.
Yeah,
In
that'd be
terms,
fine.
in terms of the bonus density, you're not getting opposition in terms of that. What we're trying to understand and what we're trying to do is come up with a bonus density plan that's agreeable to all.
All everybody.
So that you're not stuck, to Joe's point, for $1.5 million, which you're gonna say no. okay? So we're trying to make something viable so that you're happy, they're happy, and then the community gets something. That's what we're trying to figure out. And the only way to do that is based on engineering, which I can draw the lines, but that's as good as they are. They don't mean anything. So clearly, we need the expertise of these two. And we're just trying to sensibly say, is the second meeting in June more favorable, hoping that when you come back, you'll have a definitive idea of exactly what's gonna work, what it's gonna cost, and that we can talk more intelligently, or we're gonna try to push it for the first week in June and say, oh, by the way, we need an extension. So what we're trying to say to you is, let's try to be intelligent and say the second meeting in June,
I'm fine.
and
We'll be able to get everything
Yep,
by
that's
the
what-
beginning
that's what
on
we're saying.
Bob,
So-
get everything, see what we need, put it together and get it done. I'm fine. with
Okay.
it.
perfect. So what's the date of the second meeting in June?
20th.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're gonna continue this meeting to June 20th. Again, assuming 7:01, 7:02, something like that, but, and at that time, you heard the discussion. Hopefully, you'll see a plan that's not necessarily changing in density, but changing in perhaps the layout of the road that hopefully will favor the neighborhood. All right?
Got the signed extension.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's also the next one you want to do.
Oh, yeah, 7:02.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
the subdivision as well.
Yeah.
Just for clarity purposes, we're gonna open the 7:02 meeting, which is,
Now we're going,
which is the same as this.
the subdivision, yeah.
Continued public hearing, application of F&D Central Realty Corporation for approval of Bear Hill Village definitive plan, a two-lot residential subdivision located on a 118.96 acre parcel off Casey Drive.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Joe, seconded by John, to continue both public hearings until June, what did we say, 20th? At 7:01, 7:02. All right?
Well, yeah, we don't know for sure specifically,
I'm not positive on the time, but
but that's the day.
any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. John, Joe, and then John.
You gotta build this before you can build any of that.
All right.
We did.
Aaron?
No, it's me.
I'm gonna build Casey Drive either way.
All set.
Yes.
No, I'm taking all of them.
Application of
Let 'em
Virginio Sardina for
Let 'em do something.
a special permit
night.
approval regarding an 18.4% reduction in required off-street parking at 350 East Main Street.
I'm just gonna go, Bob, and read some of these letters. The submittal is for a special permit for parking reduction per the zoning bylaws and an amended site plan for the proposed swim school building to be constructed in place of a previously approved office building. The site consists of 6.78 acre parcel of land located in two zones, Highway and Neighborhood Industrial, CIC, and Highway Industrial, BIB. Assessors map 32, block 98, lot 23. The special permit is for the reduction of parking spaces by 47 spaces. This is allowed under the town's zoning bylaws, section 341B3, shared parking. Following several informal discussions and meetings, the revised amended site plan should address the following comments before the planning board approves the application. The proposed building should be shifted southwest to increase the landscape and sidewalk area along the northeast of the building and the entrance area of the building. The location of the proposed accessible spaces should be further evaluated to determine if the spaces can be located closer to the entrance of the building. Highway Department has reviewed and sees everything to be satisfactory. Fire Chief has no request for changes. Commission on,
Council on Disability.
no. Commission on, I was gonna say that. Commission on Disability supports the plan for 13 total accessible space, including 2 at the new swim school main entrance. While reviewing the plan, we noted HP signage indication may be an error, a third accessible space at the swim school rear entrance appearing on sheet C40. Perhaps the signage reference should be removed.
Before you have Bob do his presentation, just to point out that the decision, the draft decision that you have in the packet
I didn't read that. No, I mean,
was done prior to the latest revisions on the plan.
that's why I didn't read it.
But it's substantially correct in terms of the findings, the specific reference to the revision dates, and the percentage need to be adjusted to what Bob's gonna
That's fine, let Bob,
present to you.
let Bob take it away and.
Okay, thank you. So this is the plaza at the corner of Fortune Boulevard and East Main Street. This is the existing daycare area here, the daycare school. The proposal is to construct a swim school building here, and also is a proposed addition to proposed building in this location here. Originally, this portion of the site was designated for a 3-story office building. It had previously been approved, and the area had been prepared for the pad back in like 2006, but nothing has ever been constructed. So much of this area is already prepared and graded the way it needs to be. The changes were made according to the letter. The building was shifted in this direction to create more of a green space between the parking, between the sidewalk and the building. Parking here. The handicap, the front entrance is here. The handicap has been placed in this area here so that the ramp, have enough room for making the ramp work. The site, we're requesting the notice actually said an 18.4% reduction. When we reworked this area here in this entrance and redid the parking calculations, we actually only need a 17.5% reduction in the parking. And we do that because we actually have, with this proposal, we have 7 different businesses that will be here, which under the bylaw allows us to request up to a 20% reduction. So we're actually asking for 17.5. As I say, the main building will be a swim school where they will basically teach swimming lessons to children. There'll be a pool.
Can you just elaborate on that just a bit? In terms of like, I know it's self-explanatory, but because it's so self-explanatory, I'm puzzled by it. Is it one of these things that's open all throughout the day, or is it, if you could just put a little clarity to that?
Hi, I'm Toby. It is called
One of-
the swim school.
Can you give
You
your
wanna
name
come up?
and address?
We're very formal. We expect that you talk into the microphone and dance. Just for the record again, if you could just give your name, please.
Sure, Toby Kelly.
Thank you.
So it is a swim school, and it is children's swim lessons from ages 4 months to 12 years of age. It is open 7 days a week, not all day or all night, but till usually about 8 o'clock at night. So the peak hours are going to be 4 to 8 in the evening. Family swim, there's also family swim time as well. We do birthday parties, on weekends. And it's a franchise.
On a good day?
On a good day, 9.
So approximately 9 to 8,
Yeah,
with peak 4 to 8,
yeah. Yep.
7 day a week. Like I said, just looking for clarity in
Okay.
terms of bonus density and
Yep.
potential traffic, that's
Yep.
all. Like I
Yep.
said, it sounds so simple that it was intriguing, I just
Okay.
wanted clarity to it. Thank you.
Okay, all right, you're welcome.
Good, Bob, I'm sorry.
You could sign up.
I drown on Mondays.
So, basically, we're just looking to finalize the development of this particular phase of this project by completing the last remaining pad site. And instead of a 3-story office building, we're just gonna have some 1-story restaurant, retail, dry cleaner, and then this swim school.
Thank you, Bob. Questions from the board? Seeing that this is a public meeting, one second. Seeing that this is a public meeting, is there any person in the audience that has a question relative to this one? No? Okay. Yes, Larry?
Well, I was just gonna point out, and Bob touched on it a bit, the three buildings, or the building with the three uses by the daycare building had previously been approved as well, but the site plan on that has lapsed, as well as the site plan on the three-story building that had been located where this building is being proposed. So this particular proposal, as far as the site plan goes, includes all of that, so that
Everything
will
on- everything in
automatically
the orange.
will re-up and keep that platform.
Perfect.
The parking calculation for, pretty sure we don't have in our bylaw,
I know what you mean.
for a swim.
Or a swim school, correct.
No, that was something that I'd researched and
Almost
came
sounds
up
like
with.
it's recreational, almost like a gym when she refers to peak
Well,
hours and
as-
so on and so forth.
Yeah, as opposed to square footage floor area, the ratio was to the size of the pool, because that's what generates the turnover, generates the activity. So I think it was, I don't have it right in front of me, it's on the plan.
I believe, yeah, it looks like that we use something of 30 spaces per 1,000 square feet as a.
One space for
For
every.
30 square feet of the
30
pool.
square feet of pool area.
Equals, I got the pool area of 14,000 square feet, 14,000 square divided by 30 square feet.
right.
of pool. Oh, yeah, one space for 30 square feet of pool area.
What
It was 47 spaces we also had one space per 30 square feet of pool area for the building, right, yeah. And, so 47 spaces is what we're showing. We've got required 50, so. We're allowing 50 spaces for that building.
That was the ratio I recommended they use
And again,
based on
I'm-
my research, so.
I think you, Toby, referenced that this is not, this is a franchise, so I'm assuming that the 50 spots are more than ample for your typical use, so, yeah. Based on the applicant, I would have to agree.
Yeah.
She would know, I would hope that she would know her clientele. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I don't have any questions.
Pleasure of the board? Remember, you have to close the public meeting.
I move we close the public hearing and vote for it.
Motion by John to close the public hearing and vote favorably. Do I have a second on that motion? Second by Lena?
It's 17.5% reduction.
17.5 reduction, yes, sorry.
Right.
Second by Lena. Any further discussion? Here or not? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
They can't do it until the 20-day appeal period's up, Bob.
Thank you.
Sure, you give it to me. Yeah, so I'll have to tweak this.
Yeah, that's why I don't read these anymore,
Oh, the
because
little baby will learn
subject
how
to
to
change.
swim.
Meaning I don't read them aloud. I've read them.
That's a
I
big
know.
thing now.
All right, Karen?
Application of Zane Ridge Condo Association for special permit modifications of a 57.86 acre planned residential development located at Zane Circle.
The submittal is for a modification of the PRD special permit for Zane Ridge condominium development. Modification is for a proposed parking area consisting of 12 parking spaces, 500 feet of sidewalk, and a 5x10 shelter. The parking area is located near the East Main Street and Zane Circle intersection to allow for the parking of vehicles in close proximity to the school bus stop. The submitted documents are petition for special permit, cover letter, and drainage calculations, special permit plan of land, Milford, Mass. Dated April 24th, 2017. Trying to read this, buddy. A site inspection was performed on May 9, 2017. Following an informal conversation with the applicant's designer requesting some minor changes to the site plan via the town planner, plans should be revised to address the following comments. The plan should show the existing utility pole that is in close proximity to the proposed bus shelter. Detailed grading, spot elevation should be shown around the proposed bus shelter. Dimensions should be shown from the edge of the proposed parking area to the property line and the edge of the right-of-way. Typical dimensions of the parking stall and drive aisles should be shown. Mike is therefore recommending approval, subject to those comments. The fire chief has no changes requested for this. Council on Disability has no comments. The water company has no comments as well. Bob, you gonna address your letter, or would you like me to read it?
No, I took, oh, yeah.
On behalf of my client, I'll do it.
No, that's fine, I'll address it.
I'll do it.
Okay, read it then, sure.
On behalf of my client, Zane Ridge Condominium Association, I am submitting an application for the modification of the existing PRD special permit. The applicant is proposing to construct a paved parking area to be used as the drop-off location for children living in the development to wait for the school bus. A 500-foot-long sidewalk and a partially enclosed bus stop structure are being proposed. The construction will result in the increase of impervious area of approximately 0.13 acres. Analysis has been performed to determine the effect of the proposed project on the existing stormwater structure and is included. Based on the calculation, the additional flow will not have an adverse impact on the existing stormwater basin, with the adjacent post-development runoff still below pre-development values. Bless you. I look forward to discussing this project, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay, thank you. So, this is the entrance to the Zane Ridge condominium development, East Main Street, Zane Circle. Currently, the bus does not go down here, obviously, because it's not a public way. So that any children living in the development need to get the bus at the end of the street. So what is happening now is that parents who live here in the development drive up and park, starting, from the end, and probably go all the way to this person's driveway here, and wait for the bus with their children. It narrows, the roadway is only 24 feet, the pavement's only 24 feet, so the parking people, they take up half of the lane of the traveled way. So the proposal is to construct this paved area here. This area here currently is a relatively flat, grassed lawn area within the development. And what we would do is we would put in approximately 500 feet of sidewalk, starting at this first interior driveway, running all the way the length of Zane Circle up to the proposed bus stop enclosure, which would be located in this area here. The addition to the last plan in the letter was I've added the location of this pole, I've added the location of this decorative wall and landscape area, and this additional landscape area with the Zane Ridge sign is in it. So you can see how everything lays out with regard to the area. There's been several iterations to this. We looked at widening the pavement here and just creating, parking spaces. Basically, when you do parallel spaces, the most you could get would fit 8 cars in there, but it was still wasn't really conducive. The people pulling in, pulling out, wasn't the safest issue. So we felt the safest issue in discussion with Larry was to actually create a parking area where people can come in, pull off the street, park, and then leave in an orderly manner, and, with proper radiuses and curbing and everything. So we got a 5-foot sidewalk, paved parking area with the spaces 9 by 18 as required by, the town regulations, and a bus stop enclosure.
Thank you, Bob. Seeing that this is a public,
No, go ahead.
seeing that this is a public meeting, is there anyone from the audience that has a question or comment relative to this? Come on up, sir.
Ron Alpino, 51 Zane Circle. The only difference is that we didn't finalize this because the town coordinator, traffic coordinator, there's a tarred area on the street here, right up in the front, so the sidewalk would just continue to that. That's the only difference.
Can you spell your last name?
Arpino.
We're close. You put an L in, sorry.
Sorry, no problem. So just to get around this, that's all. The sidewalk would just continue this because the coordinator for the town has said that that's the bus stop could be
Talk about
moved.
the bus?
Yes. Just so that it's got a place where the kid could get on right in this area right here.
So you wanna
Well, it's up by the street. That's the property
I'm
line.
sorry. So, yeah, it would
Down by
continue.
here,
It's down by the
Just on
street.
the other side of this highway.
Yes,
Right.
so we just, the sidewalk would
Do
just
you
have
wanna
to
add,
continue.
you wanna
that's
add
all.
additional payment, is that what you're saying?
Just a piece of sidewalk, yeah.
So look, basically.
So
what they're
additional
saying is
payment?
the Sidewalk will continue on this
Right,
way.
yeah.
So that they'll
So that
walk
it-
to the bus stop in this
Okay.
direction, but they'll go to the bus.
Yes,
direction.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just an additional small footage.
Which, again, will not adversely
No,
affect
it
your
will not. No,
calculations
actually,
in
'cause
terms of
that-
drainage.
Because that actually will drain.
Drain the other
into
way.
East Main
Yeah,
Street,
yeah.
it'll drain the other way, so,
Okay,
yes.
thank you, sir. Anyone else?
When we looked at this before, didn't we have the parking area down further?
Yeah,
Well, there were several different
more like
versions
a-
of
two
this.
different areas.
Well, I guess I'm,
There was a-
part of
there
it-
was a turnout. This is the only one that I've created with a parking area. There was a turnout area that came in, came out, came around.
Sidewalk,
It
so
had
what
to be
we're
so
doing.
far in that it was.
pavement.
Well, but the original, one of the original,
Street. Yes.
one of the original proposals was similar to this. The concern we had was that it was too close to the street, but I don't know if the board ever saw that version or not, but the board did see a version that had a parking lot similar to this, but it didn't have any detail to the plan or anything. So our concern was that there was sufficient offset from the stop line as you're exiting the site onto East Main Street, so that you'd have some stacking between a parking lot and driveway or not. But I think the primary confusion at the time was in terms of confusing whether or not a public hearing needed to be reopened to make the change, if it was that sufficient or not. And there was an attempt, I think, to avoid having to do that, and that's what generated several of the interim plans that had the brows and parallel parking and other schemes. But after looking at it and you know, finally clarifying that opening the hearing wasn't the end of the world, it's just a legal requirement that you needed to do, I recommended they come back and do a normal parking lot that gets all of the maneuvering off of the street. Granted, Zane Circle is a private street, but it's still not appropriate to have all that other traffic maneuvering going on a narrow street. So I recommended they do what's been proposed tonight, to get all of the parking and the maneuvering off of Zane Circle. 12 parking spaces should be sufficient, more than sufficient to handle the traffic that they're having problems with now. So that's why it ends up looking the way it looks. And it was located on a relative, as Bob said, relatively level area, but it is far enough back from the intersection with the highway.
Perfect. I also appreciate that they put the sidewalk down to
And
the,
yes, the sidewalk
to the
went
first
side street.
side street.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I guess my only concern is they're relatively close to neighbors, and I get the feeling they're gonna be parking and running their engines the whole time.
Well, actually, if you look at that, that particular neighbor here.
Looks like that's a garage.
The garage
There's
is-
a garage there, and he's a little bit elevated above this location here, and there's a good amount of
This is only once a
curb in here. Most of the parking lot is screened.
Ron, would
So
you be
with some
opposed to
vegetation.
having signs erected that, not to idle, engines can't be idle longer than 5 minutes?
Absolutely fine, because we can do that with the sign. We're gonna put that no parking is allowed there either. It's just for buses.
I think to Joe's point, we don't wanna solve a problem for you and create a problem
Yep.
for a
Nope,
neighbor
we'll
who
make sure that
obviously
happens.
didn't have one existing, so if you would consider putting a,
Absolutely.
okay.
So
No idle past 5 minutes, no engine idle past 5 minutes. I think that's how they read. Any other questions
Yeah,
from the board?
For this one, you can just shut it, you know, parking, just shut it
Sure,
off. You
shut it
don't,
off.
No,
it's normal for,
no engine idle?
no engine idle, I suppose you could do that too, but I was trying to be somewhat fair. I wasn't gonna go police at 5 minutes,
well, that's why it's easier to police. You can't do it. If you park there, you gotta have it shut off.
then,
We can do that
are you
too.
opposed to that?
No, we'll do it.
No engine idle?
We'll do it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Pleasure of the board?
Shut them off.
You want that added to the
Yes.
decision, right?
Yes, and also, he's obviously gonna add additional pavement to bring him out to where the bus actually stops.
Yeah, the plan will.
Yes, yes, the plan will reflect that, but yes, if you don't mind adding to the decision, sign to be installed and maintained, prohibiting human idling while parked.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing and approve the modification to the special permit.
Motion by Babe to close the public hearing and approve the modified plan with the addition of the pavement and the signage. Seconded by Lena. Any further discussion? Hearing not. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you and best of luck. Thank you.
That was a long time coming,
So
probably.
while Bob sets up, I'm going to, I'm just gonna take,
Like the Patriots shirt.
we have a grant for extension for Volta Oil. They're asking to be extended to June 6th.
I move we extend it to June 6th.
Motion by John, seconded by Babe. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes, Babe.
we did it to other people.
This is the last extension?
Last shot.
How many extensions have they requested and have we granted? Is this the
I
second
think
or
this is
third?
the second.
The second or third, yeah.
I know, it's either,
I think
that's
it's
what I'm
the
asking
second.
you, is it the second or the third?
I think it's the second. Frank.
It's a second, we'll give them another one.
If it's a second, tell them that we won't, you know, we'll
Well,
only
tell them
do
they're not
it.
gonna do it anymore anyhow, see what they say.
It's not, I think
I think they're having some, I think they're having some, I think they're having some problems with, N-Star.
Yeah, they got.
I think they're having some
I don't know how they're gonna get
utility-related
around
problems,
it.
I don't think it's
Well,
this.
I don't think
Well,
that's
then
what
I
the
can see
problem was
four,
now.
five
The
more
person that was doing the engineering on the
Just
wall
deal with them
has apparently fallen off the face of the earth. So, yeah, that wasn't something anybody was expecting. I don't know whether it was.
Anyhow,
illness
motion by
or what.
John, with a discussion from Babe, that we're not, that the applicant should be informed that we're not extending past the third time. Is that correct, Babe?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing not, all in favor of the motion
Aye.
as amended? Opposed, unanimous. 81P,
81P.
15 East Street, please.
Yes. So this is parcel on
I have
East
that?
Street.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
The applicant owned
number?
this particular piece of property here. It was 16,500 square feet.
Check with it.
Right, there was a check on it?
It's underneath there, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's, my apologies. That's right, I can't find it.
So they went to the ZBA, they were granted a variance for minimum lot size, lot width, and frontage requirements.
Street.
And the applicant has created one lot around the existing two-story, two-family house, and now has a second lot
Foot lot.
of 8,000 square feet with 64 feet of frontage.
It's endorsable as submitted.
Motion, pleasure of the board?
Were they here just recently?
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
variance.
they got the variance. You put
That
it-
was
Yeah,
for
for
a variance.
referral.
Variance. That's when we shut down, they said yes.
So we said
No,
no.
we didn't. We may have, but they didn't.
Hard to
That's right what we expected.
I also have a check in the amount of $250 for this.
I make a motion, we sign the,
Motion by Babe to have Larry sign, seconded by Lena. Any further discussion? Hearing not. All all in favor, opposed, unanimous.
Thank you.
pizza
We
less.
have moving right along, we have a ZBA referral for 34 Asylum Street. The applicant that's for Larry to sign. The applicant requests a variance to reconfigure the subject property. The property consists of two non-conforming lots that are considered merged by zoning. Specifically, the proposal is to raise the existing dwelling situated on Lot 49 and divide the property into two irregular-shaped lots. One new single-family dwelling would then be built on each of the new lots. Variances for lot area, width, and frontage are necessary for this proposal. Larry is recommending that the board forward a favorable to the ZBA for concept plan number 1 only.
Yeah, concept plan number 2 creates irregularly shaped lots again, which doesn't make
What are we
any
looking,
sense.
oh, yeah, oh, boy. So what's the, I'm having a difficult time, Larry, if you can just give me what they're looking for.
You're all done?
If you look at the aerial,
Yeah.
If you look at the aerial on the last page, that's the current configuration.
I know what this is.
You have two non-conforming lots, and they're replatting them, so they're both still non-conforming,
put 'em
but
together.
at least they'll be
But Larry,
regularly shaped.
The house is on the side of them, to each side of them.
Yeah.
Do they typically meet zoning as it exists?
Not all of them, no.
But the ones basically adjacent to them look pretty close. I don't know, you tell me. What are they looking for in terms of variance? For the frontage?
Hold on.
I mean, to me,
It's enumerated on the application.
well, to me, all someone's trying to do is sell a single-family house and subdivide it and make money, is what it
That's
sounds
right.
like to me.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily see a hardship as much as there's a single family there, tear it down if it's in such need, and build a single family and enjoy the piece of property as it exists.
I agree.
That's my opinion, maybe because it's getting late in the day. What's the pleasure of the board?
I thought, I'll make a motion to the ZBA unfavorable.
Motion by Lena for ZBA unfavorable. Do I have a second on the unfavorable?
Yeah.
Second by Joe. Any further discussion on the unfavorable?
Did you say Joe?
Joe, yes. Lena made it. Joe seconded. Any further discussion here or not? All in favor of the unfavorable? Opposed to the unfavorable? Unanimous of the unfavorable? May I have your
All
letter,
right.
please?
We'll have two lots tomorrow.
Of course.
No, Thursday. Well, Friday one, sorry.
We have a ZBA
Off with
special
the
permit
timeline.
for 12 Westchester Drive. The applicant requests a special permit to construct in addition to the existing dwelling on the subject property. Property is non-conforming as to lot area, width, and frontage within the RC zoning district. The existing dwelling is also non-conforming as to side yard setback. Specifically, the proposal is to construct a 29.5 by 32-story garage addition to the existing house. The new construction will meet all yard setback requirements. Therefore, Larry is recommending favorable to the ZBA.
It's kind of a technicality since.
So basically, the zoning changed in his neighborhood.
I move that we give a favorable recommendation, seeing that this is the first one where the construction meets the setback.
Yes.
It meets the setback. All right.
Motion by Babe for favorable. Do I have a second? Seconded by John. Any further discussion on the favorable? Hearing not, all in favor of the favorable?
All right.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Right.
Favorable to the ZBA.
All right.
Sorry.
Behind you now.
Nope, that's good. And finally, we have a ZBA special referral, 15 Lincoln Street. The applicant requests a variance to maintain a carport-like structure on the subject property. The property consists of a two-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot. The carport-like structure has been erected without a building permit. See attached violation notice. There has been no site plan provided with the application to indicate where existing and proposed structures are located, or to indicate the setback distance from the various property lines. Therefore, Larry's recommending unfavorable to the ZBA. And part of your packet, obviously, you do see Milford Department of Inspections and the citation of note. Do we have any pictures or nothing, huh?
Well, I
Does
think,
the applicant even know?
yeah, the aerial on the back, the last sheet shows the aerial from our GIS system.
Which house is hers?
I think the one that's outlined in the light
Yeah, it gotta
color
be the one that's out.
on the corner of Lincoln and Winter.
See the carport there?
Well, no, it's the,
That would've been
it's
previous.
new, but my point is that I think it's they're trying to do like a patio cover of some sort off of the end of the parking.
Oh,
It's so-
patio for shade, it says.
Yeah, so it's not exactly a carport, although,
Car go under there?
I think it could, so without the plan and knowing exactly where it's gonna be,
So is it like a tailgating tent? What is this?
I don't know.
I make a motion, we give it unfavorable.
Motion by Babe for unfavorable. Do I have a second on the motion?
I second that.
Seconded by Lena. Any further discussion? Hearing not. All in favor of the unfavorable?
Aye.
Opposed to the unfavorable?
Aye.
Unfavorable to the ZBA, please. Any other business?
Oh,
No.
The only thing, I haven't heard anything about our zoning amendments. I just wanted to discuss, if somebody were to pass over, somebody put a motion to pass over the marijuana one, I just wanted to get a feeling from this board, because I'm still, I think we've indicated we don't want to pass over that, and that we would fight that at town meeting if that motion came up.
I don't know if there's any advantage of passing it over.
Well, I believe the other issue with passing it over, to a certain extent, I think it does a couple things. One, if they're gonna have an election, which it seems like they can, and that's fine, they have every right to do that, is it tells people where they would be if they allow it in town. So it gives them added information. Two, it could possibly put us in a bad position in the future, although it appears that there's gonna be enough time before the state issues anything. That's this year. 2 years from now, somebody could ask for a reelection, and all of a sudden, we're faced with marijuana being legal, and we don't have any time to have another town meeting, in which case we're behind the 8 ball. And why put us in that situation when we've gone through the public
Discovery.
hearing and figured out where we wanted it anyway? So to me, it's better to have it on the book. Have it on the books, and then if they have it, fine. If they don't, it's illegal in the town, and so be it. It's a different regulation.
Seems reasonable to me.
Sounds good.
Oh, was it my understanding at the last minute, Joe, that
Is
we
that next
were,
Monday?
we were
Yes.
not going to,
That was our decision. Somebody may at town meeting ask to pass over.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
asking this board, if somebody does that one of us can get up and say, we discussed it and said, no, the planning board is definitely against doing that. And
Oh,
that's-
okay,
That's why
okay,
I'm
you're
bringing
right.
it up
Okay.
now.
all right, I got that.
Can we
Take a
adjourn?
motion
Can we
from,
adjourn?
motion from John, second by Lena to adjourn. Thank you and good night.